off into the next exhibit and hit the person at the other exhibit. So, we learned that that wasn't good enough. And you just learn how people try the system. Technologists do one thing, but an average person who isn't thinking about the technology does something completely different when they try it. They expect something different. And that was pretty much a big success, though, that demonstration there. We were really happy. And a lot of other people helped me on that demonstration. The physics of the ball and chain, and the graphics, and the artwork. So then I was invited to London to show these demonstrations to the product development team. My boss's boss got promoted to be the head of product development in Europe. So now he was responsible for making all the games in Europe. And he really liked the work I was doing anyway, even though I didn't work at his keynote talk. He really liked it anyways. And he invited me to show it and challenged his teams to make a product based on it. So I really got a lucky break that he got promoted to that position, because we already had somebody in the product group then who was geared up for it. And one thing I learned was it's really important to get to know the product groups and understand what they need from a research standpoint. They have schedules, they have deadlines, and they don't really like the fact that the code doesn't even compile when you give it to them and things like that. Those kind of things are really important to them. And they have different deadlines than you. So it's just a very different world, and it's important for a researcher to know where he's sending his stuff and understand the world he's sending it to. So then I spoke again at the Game Developer Conference the next year. I had my own talk, and the demos, again, didn't work very well. The lighting in this room was orange only. The whole room was just orange, just these weird orange lights. Wasn't the same lecture hall, and it was just orange, just these weird orange lights. Wasn't the same lecture hall, and I wasn't prepared for a monochromatic orange light in the room. So they somewhat worked, but I put it in the design track. I wanted the game designers to be interested in these things, because I thought if the game designers got interested, they'd design games around the camera, and then we'd have really neat games. They didn't even come. None of the game designers showed up, because there's, again, no camera. It's outside the space they think in. So that was a bad choice. And that was kind of another failure. Game Developer Conference number 2, failure. So that's very haunting. The Camden team from London decided to make this game using a camera input, and they transferred me to London for 3 months to work on the game with them and transfer the technology over. That was a really great time for me, and I learned a ton about the game development process and the cycle they go through. Also, I kind of taught them how to use the camera. More than transferring the technology, I just taught them to think more like me, what I wanted to do with the camera, and they became able to do new things that way. So it really worked out well that they, understood it to the level I did, really. And kind of the mantra was there can be no lighting issues in the game, because we've had so many problems with lighting. And that's when the name changed. We'd been calling it the Interactive Toy Project for a while, or EyeToy for short. And then that switched to EyeToy somehow. And that became popular, so that's what it is called today. And the little tip I have here is kiss the badge. That's a saying they say in soccer or football in England whenever you score a goal. And so I never played football my whole life, but I played with them Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I just completely became one of them, and that was huge to gaining their trust and, not feeling like an outsider. That was huge to gaining their trust and, not feeling like an outsider from the product team. And I think that's really important, is to not distance yourself too much from the product group. They need to rely on you. So moving on to SIGGRAPH again, we showed this time the enhanced reality demonstrations, and I have those here. Let me just get one of them started here. What we did at SIGGRAPH is we had 2 PlayStation 2s networked together, and you could see video of the other person, and they saw video of you. We also had another little monitor you could see yourself if you needed to, but we had a magic duel, is what it was called. So you would cast spells at them, and they would cast spells at you, and you'd battle each other. And it was kind of a neat setup. Again, it was supposed to be a technology demonstration, but we're really trying to make it fun anyway. And this is when the online calibration happened. I was in England that time, and there could be no lighting issues, so we learned how do we just get rid of all these issues. So now there's no calibration in this demo yet. I hold this button down, I hold the color in it that I want it to track, now it's tracking that color. So that's the level of calibration we're allowed to do. And that's what we wanted to have is our goal. So, oops. Oh, that's the exit. I'm sorry. Run that one again. So, shoot. So one other thing in this demo that I'm going to show you is we showed a lot of the special effects, but this time mixed with the graphics. So not just video effects, not just image processing effects, but actually bringing in computer graphics. Because the game people really like to see virtual objects and things, not just video. A lot of the video demos we'd show virtual objects and things, not just video. A lot of the video demos we'd show them, they'd think it was kind of neat, but they're kind of turned off by just the image processing. So here we go. Again, sorry, I exited that demo. When we showed this at SIGGRAPH, we had one person who wouldn't leave the demo. He stayed there for 8 hours. And he became such an expert that we just let him run it. You know, and he was about 14 years old, so it was great because it was clear that he was enjoying himself. And so yeah, so I'll step out here. So one of the tricks is you can do if you take a picture of the scene without you in it, you can do a lot of these tricks. So now I've got this kind of ball. You can see this kind of magical effect. It's leaving. But I want it to be like a wand, so I have to twiddle my hand over it. Now it's really magical. So now I really have this magic effect. And now I can draw a shape like a circle, the circle spell, and then the obligatory fireball spell. If anyone's a role-playing game person here, they would know what I mean. So if you draw a different shape, like a square, you get the air spells. So this time I'm going to cast the hurricane spell. So the thing is, when we showed this demonstration, I had these huge hopes for it. So I wanted it to be that you'd cast one spell and then there'd be a counter spell you could quickly do, and then we ran out of time to do all these things. It's supposed to be a technology demonstration, but we did get a few of these kind of spell and counter spells done. And if I do this one, let's see if I can draw this kind of weird shape. This is the mind spells. So there's the invisibility spell. So I fade myself out. And this is achieved by taking that background picture and then alphaing in the live video. It's a cheap effect, but always gets a good response. And then the counter spell to invisibility is the true sight spell. So if he's casting invisibility on himself, you can cast true sight so that you can see him. And that brings out your little eyeball so that you can see him. Or you can just play with the eyeball, and you can have it be this kind of fun toy. So the way it worked is you could cast the spell right away and you'd get kind of a weak spell, or you could wait and get a more powerful spell. So if I do the circle again, if I go right away, I get the fireball, but if I wait longer, you could scorch him. That's the spell we made up. So this is a scorch spell, and that would just, you can see the kind of fire effect. And then we also had a special effect just for California, because it is being shown there. So the earth spells. Earthquake. And the other reason for this spell is it requires no artwork. So anything that requires no artwork. The hurricane at the beginning, I had help from an artist, and as the spells got progressively, I lost my artist support, so then I had to switch to new techniques. Anyway, that gives you an idea of that. And so at the same time as that demo, we were showing another demo. Oops, sorry, don't switch back yet. We showed this other little demo, which we call Seymour the Space Boy. And this uses two colored balls. And it's really simple, but when you think about what we're doing, it's really hard to achieve any other way. So I'm gonna tell it to track this color here. There we go. And then